Subscribe, and let me know in the comments what city you're watching from. I love seeing where everyone's tuning in from.
The final chapters of the Yellowstone Secret Observer saga remain unwritten, with many questions left unanswered. As federal agencies continue to withhold full disclosure, independent researchers rely on scattered documents, whistleblower accounts, and oral histories to piece together the truth. Recent satellite data and declassified communications hint at ongoing interest in remote sensing technologies in the region, suggesting that modern successors to the original devices might still operate under new guises. Some former rangers speculate that ghost devices remain hidden, dormant or active, quietly feeding information to undisclosed recipients. The cultural legacy of the secret observers has also inspired numerous local legends and conspiracy theories, blending fact and fiction into a complex narrative of surveillance, secrecy, and control. What began as a simple mystery about concealed monitoring units has evolved into a profound meditation on privacy, governmental power, and the unseen mechanisms shaping public spaces. The dense forests of Yellowstone continue to guard their secrets, while those who seek answers must navigate a labyrinth of redacted files, lost records, and silenced witnesses. In the end, the story of the Yellowstone Secret Observers is less about the devices themselves, and more about what they represent, a reminder that even in the most open, natural places, unseen eyes may be watching, waiting, and listening. More recently, digital investigations have revealed curious metadata, embedded within some early device signal captures, showing timestamps and GPS coordinates that don't match any known locations on official maps. These coordinates correspond to vast stretches of protected forest where no roads or trails exist, leading analysts to propose that the devices might have been used to monitor entirely off-limit zones, possibly for training, experimentation, or other classified purposes. This hypothesis is supported by anecdotal reports from former military personnel who recounted exercises conducted in secret near Yellowstone during the 1980s. These exercises involved simulated hostage rescues, chemical agent drills, and electronic warfare tests. None of the public records reflect the presence of sensor equipment, yet the timing aligns suspiciously well with the installation of the mysterious devices. Additionally, interviews with retired communications officers suggest that some data captured by the sensors were routed to underground command centers equipped with advanced cryptographic systems. These centers supposedly coordinated with multiple agencies to process intelligence gathered from national park surveillance. Despite extensive freedom of information requests, the true scope of these operations remains classified. In the absence of official transparency, speculation runs rampant about the ethical implications of turning public lands into surveillance grids. Some privacy advocates argue that such programs represent a dangerous erosion of civil liberties, while others caution that national security concerns justify clandestine monitoring. The Yellowstone Secret Observers remain a contentious subject, emblematic of Cold War-era tensions that spilled into unexpected places, including the heart of America's wilderness. Several attempts to locate the physical remnants of the devices post-1994 met with little success. Rangers and investigators reported that areas once marked by sensor installations had reverted to pristine wilderness, with no signs of human disturbance. Some hypothesized that all hardware was either removed or rendered inert during the phase-out period. However, in 2001, a cache of discarded components surfaced in an abandoned ranger station near the park boundary. The parts included circuit boards etched with cryptic codes, power cells of unknown design, and fragments of casings identical to those described in the early 1980s reports. Forensic analysis found traces of a rare isotope used in military-grade batteries, and some elements matched materials found in classified Department of Defense projects. This discovery sparked renewed interest among independent researchers, who speculated that the Yellowstone devices were part of a broader national program intersecting with defense surveillance and emergency management. Interviewed specialists noted that the materials and technology were decades ahead of their time, with capabilities rivaling modern-day drones and remote sensing platforms. Furthermore, the presence of isotope traces suggested the devices could operate independently for extended periods, possibly years, without battery replacement. In response to inquiries, FEMA and related agencies have consistently declined to comment or provide documents related to the network, citing national security. Leaked whistleblower testimonies hint that some devices were also equipped with biometric sensors capable of tracking human heart rates, breathing patterns, and even stress indicators from a distance. While never officially confirmed, such features would explain the extreme secrecy and aggressive retrieval efforts following device discoveries. The lasting impact on the park's ecosystem remains debated, with some ecologists concerned that prolonged electromagnetic exposure and constant monitoring may have subtly altered animal behaviors and natural cycles. The Yellowstone Secret Observers stand as a chilling reminder of the intersection between environmental stewardship and covert state surveillance, a story still only partially revealed decades after its inception. By 1990, the pattern of sightings and device recoveries had expanded beyond Yellowstone to adjacent federal lands, prompting concern among local agencies. Ranger logs from neighboring forests described similar objects and encounters, with devices calibrated to monitor movement, audio, and even electromagnetic activity. Attempts to pinpoint the manufacturer or supplier led to a dead end. All serial numbers and markings appeared intentionally obscured or false. A breakthrough came when an investigative journalist obtained a heavily redacted FEMA document, dated 1983, titled Surveillance Integration Protocol for National Parks. The document outlined a multi-agency collaboration involving the Department of Defense, the National Security Agency, and FEMA, designed to deploy high-fidelity sensor arrays in strategic locations. It acknowledged the devices had dual use, environmental monitoring and tactical intelligence gathering. Crucially, the protocol mandated that personnel be vetted through special clearance channels and that data be transmitted via closed-loop encrypted networks, inaccessible to standard communication systems. This explained the closed FEMA channels noted in earlier device analyses. However, the document also revealed internal concerns over civil liberties and potential exposure, hinting at debates within agencies about the program's legality and ethical boundaries. Around the same time, whistleblowers within FEMA anonymously described an initiative called Silent Watch, involving mobile observation posts disguised as environmental research stations. These posts were said to be equipped with far-reaching surveillance technology capable of intercepting radio traffic, monitoring personnel movement, and even analyzing biological markers remotely. While no official record of Silent Watch exists, several former staff recalled debriefings that stressed the importance of secrecy and the requirement to deny all public inquiries. One retired NSA analyst recalled a briefing in 1985, emphasizing that the program must remain invisible, even to our closest partners. The extent of the surveillance infrastructure appeared far larger and more sophisticated than publicly acknowledged, with some suggesting a national security agenda that prioritized data collection over park management. This growing disconnect fueled rumors among park employees that the forests were being watched by ghosts, a phrase that became common in ranger folklore during the late 80s and early 90s. The openly placed device was found near a seldom-used ranger station deep within the park's northern quadrant. Unlike the others, it was mounted on a metal pole rising about 6 feet above the ground, covered only by a small commo net that appeared weathered but intentionally torn. When technicians finally accessed this unit months later, after being extracted under heavy guard, it emitted a continuous encrypted data stream. The transmissions contained location coordinates, temperature readings, and what appeared to be audio snippets filtered through noise cancellation algorithms. Experts analyzing the data were puzzled by its irregular frequency modulations, which didn't match any known communication protocols used by civilian or military entities at the time. A partial key found embedded in the signal suggested an origin linked to an agency known internally as the Emergency Federal Management Authority, or FEMA. However, public records confirmed FEMA had no operational presence in Yellowstone National Park during the 1980s. The anomalies extended further when several former rangers came forward anonymously to share stories of being approached by unidentified individuals wearing dark suits and sunglasses, who warned them against speaking publicly about the devices. These agents reportedly referenced national security protocols and demanded that all findings and related conversations be classified as top secret. In one instance, a ranger who tried to photograph one of the installations found his film roll mysteriously erased overnight. Despite no evidence of tampering, the tension peaked in 1987 after a sudden spike in seismic activity. Near one device triggered an automatic alert at a regional monitoring center. When a specialized team arrived, the device was gone, only a faint scorch mark and melted pine needles remained. Subsequent investigation suggested the device self-destructed via a miniature thermal charge, a security measure previously undocumented in federal tracking equipment. This act intensified fears that the devices were not passive recorders, but active components of an undisclosed surveillance network. Meanwhile, archival searches uncovered references to Project Sentinel, a classified initiative aimed at integrating remote monitoring hardware into national parks, ostensibly for environmental data collection and emergency coordination. Yet, internal memos warned that operational parameters for Sentinel must not compromise covert intelligence gathering. The line between ecological research and clandestine surveillance blurred further, deepening the mystery surrounding these devices and the shadowy forces controlling them deep within the Yellowstone wilderness. As the investigation expanded beyond the ship itself, the agencies involved began to quietly pull older maritime reports, searching for any precedent involving similar cargo. That's when a pattern emerged. 3 other vessels between 1974 and 1986 had documented unexplained radiation bursts, shadow radar echoes, and irregular route deviations, yet all 3 cases had been classified under a little-known directive labeled Blue Harvest. The directive ordered immediate suppression of details, reassignment of crew, and sealing of all physical evidence. In 2 of the cases, containers also went missing before inspectors arrived. A decrypted memo from 1981 suggested that these containers weren't intended for transport at all. They were part of a program testing remote energy amplification, possibly connected to battlefield power sources or experimental propulsion systems. But the notes repeatedly warned that the cores exhibited autonomous discharge behavior when disrupted, which might explain the strange M readings from the Gulf Hope. The most disturbing clue came when analysts traced one of the missing container codes to a private storage facility in New Jersey, where it had been logged, briefly, before the facility's entire database crashed and backups were mysteriously wiped. Security footage from that same night showed a power outage lasting exactly 13 seconds, followed by the appearance of condensation on the walls, as if the temperature had dropped 20 degrees in moments. The container in question never appeared on camera. It simply vanished between one frame and the next. Investigators later interviewed a night guard, who reported hearing a low humming noise, like something spinning inside a drum. His statement was dismissed as stress until similar descriptions surfaced from 2 other locations linked to the program. If the Gulf Hope's cargo was designed to be stable only under specific conditions, then breaking the chain of custody could mean that the devices, whatever they really were, had begun operating independently. And the idea that they might still be out there, active and undocumented, turned the case from a maritime incident into one of the most quietly feared security risks of the era.
Subscribe, and let me know in the comments what city you're watching from. I love seeing where everyone's tuning in from.